Okay. I'll make sure everybody can see this. So, so tonight we're going to be talking about a little bit. I mean, I'm going to obviously bring up the real estate investing stuff that goes with why you guys have this anyway. But we're going to talk tonight about um, the infrastructure of GPT using AI and how the actual infrastructure works. And I'll kind of go around the sidebar and show a few things. We're probably not going to go more than an hour tonight because we've been going about 2 to 2.5 the last 4 or 5 sessions. Then everybody can kind of take the weekend, and we're going to be doing lender ops next weekend. Next weekend, I'm going to be probably spending both Wednesday and Thursday because it's extensive. We'll pretty much be doing lenders, and I'll be showing them like the family offices and hedge funds. Keep in mind, if you don't need family offices and hedge funds, pension funds, and endowment funds, because you're not doing those kind of deals, you can always still help. Talk to people who might need them. Promote it. Anybody that wants to promote the group too will help because, like I said, we're trying to get to the goal is to get to 1,000 people by the end of the year, the end of this year. So it's kind of cool. But we're going to do that. It's going to take 2 nights. Then the next week we'll do TC ops on Wednesday nights. We'll talk about transaction coordination. We'll probably do that. We'll probably do comms mode on Thursday, and then the next week we'll do 2 days of rehab and scope of work, and then we'll probably do tax liens at the end of that. And Curtis, if you want to help me with that, with your tax lien strategy, that'll probably be about a month from now. So that'll be 7 or 8 sessions, and we'll close out with tax liens because that's something that a lot of people are interested in, and notes and stuff. And then we'll start getting into some advanced strategies going into March, like we'll talk about novations and things, different things, pretty cool stuff. So anyway, while we're talking about operators, so tools aren't creating leverage, mental models do. So you guys want to think about mental models. GPT is a reasoning engine. It's with constraints. It's not a magic box. So don't think of it as like any kind of magic. It still has a lot of constraints. There are guardrails. It's not going to let you go and do a lot. There are some things, but you can adjust when you have your own GPT. If you set up a GPT, you can set up your guardrails, and you can have it go public, or you can have it be a private one with a link that you give to people, kind of like my link that I gave to all of you. And so we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. So why we're calling it operators and not AI uses, operators already make decisions with imperfect information. So GPT is not replacing that. It surfaces structure and finds the blind spots and the trade-offs faster. So if anybody's looking for just push-button answers, tonight will feel uncomfortable, and that's intentional. So the prompt assistant versus GPT versus apps. So prompt assistant, guardrails and acceleration inside the known RCIC workflows. Everything you do is a workflow. GPT is the thinking partner you must direct. So you are still in charge. You are directing the GPT. Apps are the narrow tools that do one thing well but don't reason. So apps like we'll talk about apps again. You can hook up Spotify and Google and Google Drive, Google Forms. You can hook up. We should be able to hook up Zapier. Curtis and I just had a discussion about that. I'll try to make sure you guys can do Zapier. But they have Slack, Airtable. I mean, there's a ton of apps. I'll show those to everybody and where to find them tonight. So it prevents confusion later when you show apps and people expect judgment from them. Apps are just tools. What you are actually teaching, how the GPT reasons and where it fails, and how to shape it to your deals, your counties, which are your markets and your constraints, and then how to build a GPT that reflects how you operate, not how vendors sell. So if you guys want to, later on, probably in mid-February, if everybody wants to build their own GPT, you should be able to do that. You actually will probably want to build 2. You want to build a public one that just helps market you, and you can put in the GPT store that OpenAI has, and I'll show you where that is. And then you can build, like I said, the one that I gave, where you can short them down to a bit.ly link, and that's the one you do all your business with, eventually with people on there. You do all your business in your own GPT, and that's the one that's you don't want to put all your really like a lot of your proprietary information in the public one. The public one is really just your marketing, so it's kind of like front office versus back office. Your front office is going to be the public one, and your back office will be your private one. And so expectations control. So this is not going to be a demo Zoom. Tonight I'm going to show where to find the apps, where and how to configure a GPT. when not to use agent mode, and then why projects versus chat changes everything for serious operators. So you guys want to start looking, like we talked about last night a little bit. I'm a bad example. I use chats for almost everything. You guys can see. I've only done like one project. You really want to start using projects because that's a little bit better. And so I'll explain tonight a little bit on the difference between chats and projects. And then so you got your authority move. You tie it back to work, real workflows. Your AHJs, your authority having jurisdiction, your live county data, and I just posted a few things on my public Facebook, showing some of the updates I got today on some of the counties in Colorado and stuff like that. You guys can set your agents and deploy your agents to go out and do work for you. So it's kind of cool that way. And like TC mode for you, Dakota, will have a lot of show you how to deploy your agents, which you obviously get down here and you got agent mode. Go down to more and you got agent mode up here. You can deploy your agents to go out and help your clients, and if you're going to do your VA stuff, you can use that as well. You still got 40 agents, so you want to be diligent about it and not use all of them for, you want to kind of just spread them around a little bit. Whereas people looking for like properties may want to go heavy with 10 to 15, 20 of their 40 agents, up to half, to go and hit the counties and hit the markets to bring in the data, the properties. So tonight is about learning how to think with GPT so it stops being a novelty. It starts behaving like an opening layer. I'm going to type in now we're live because that's usually what I do to key. So we're live. So it tells me to let the room settle. Okay, let's talk about projects versus chats. Okay. So this is really, like I said, I'm a horrible example. You guys are on every week, and all I'm doing is using the chats. I should be using projects myself. I'm going to start trying to do that more often. But you guys, since you guys are newer and starting to use it, you're not in the bad habits that I'm in. So we're going to talk about what it is. Chats are transactional. Projects are operational. So remember that, transactional versus operational. So chats are for thinking in the moment. They're disposable by design. So use chats when you're exploring, when you're pressure testing an idea, you're asking what if. You don't care if the context disappears later. That was an issue because I think Fred said something last night. He had to go and now set up projects because sometimes in the chats you don't get the same. Like sometimes the tools don't keep the same names. They did that for me. So start using a lot of projects. That's what I'm trying to explain it. Chats are fast. Chats are cheap. Chats are not memory safe. So remember that. So operators get burned when they try to run a business out of chats. So projects are where work persists. A project holds your context. It holds your files, your instructions, your direction, your continuity. Projects are for ongoing deal analysis, AHJ interpretation, county-specific logic, repeated workflows, anything you'll return to more than once. If you revisit it, it belongs in a project. So a lot of your stuff with your, Curtis, on your tax lane stuff and all that, you may want to start like using projects for that. And even
I intend to, definitely. That's what I've been working on, that structure. And even so much so, very narrow by design. Each project will be applicable to a certain operation.
Yeah, exactly. And like Dakota, in your case, you want to use your chats to research and do all this stuff for your clients, but use projects to build out your workflows and your all your tasks for ongoing tasks. So
It was even recommended. I have to revisit it, but the GPT recommended to me that each project might be considered an LLC in their own right, where it's underneath a managerial LLC.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's cool. So that's what you want to start using. Like I said, I'm a horrible example of doing that. of not doing it right. So operator rule of thumb: if the output affects money, compliance, or reputation, project. If it's just thinking out loud, chat. So why this matters more than people realize: GPT doesn't remember like a human. It reconstructs understanding from context. Projects give GPT stable assumptions, persistent constraints, a consistent operating frame. Without that, you're retraining the model every single time. Slow, sloppy, and risky. So the RCIC angle: your prompt assistant accelerates inside projects because the guardrails already exist, the context is known, the workflows repeat. Chats are where ideas are born. Projects are where operators execute. If you want a clean line to land it, chats help you think. Projects help you operate. If you confuse the two, AI feels impressive but never useful. So a lot of people might be realizing this yet. So how to create a project, what instructions actually belong there, and why most people overstuff, system prompts instead of using projects correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and just have it run through all of these. I'll just copy and paste them. So I'm really trying to, get you guys, because everybody now has been on for 30 days or more, and it's time to start, really blowing this up. So how to create a project. So the operator way. So obviously projects are over here in your new project. You got module graphics, you can make your graphics, and you got tater tot, and I'm going to explain what tater tot is. So a project is not a folder, it's an operating environment. Creation is simple, intent is what matters. So when you create a project, you are doing three things. You are defining the scope of work, you are locking in the constraints, and you are establishing continuity. So show them this sequence live, create a project, name it after the real workflow, not the tool. Bad AI stuff, good. Maricopa County, small multifamily due diligence. So that's kind of what you want to do on different projects is, like if you guys are working like Bill, I know you're like working like Marin County and those counties up in Northern California. So you can start working like putting projects together for each of your counties. Because every county up there is the same. And I know they have a conversation with you as well, because I know Chris said after a call with you last week, I guess you have to pay for some stuff in those counties. And I didn't know that, so I'm trying to come up with a solution for you, just to check on that. So then immediately add files. You got ordinances, zoning PDFs, prior deals, templates, persistent instructions, and then make the point clear. If you can't name the workflow, you're not ready for a project yet. So what instructions actually belong in a project? I may or may not do one tonight. I might start one over the weekend and then show it to you guys next week. What instructions actually belong in a project? This is where people mess up. Project instructions are operating rules, not tasks. So what belongs there? Jurisdiction, your county, your city, your AHJ, your asset class. Is it multifamily, single family? What are you doing there? Risk posture. Are you conservative, aggressive, or your operator biased? Assumptions you do not want redebated. So you put in the assumptions. Language preferences, plain English versus legal. And you can have one that's a plain English, you can have another project that's legal. It just depends on the individual project. How to flag and search into your conflicts. So you got example categories. Assume I'm an experienced operator, not a first-time investor. Default to citing source sections when interpreting ordinances. Surface risk before upside. If data is incomplete, stop and say so. What does not...
It sounds like some of those are buy box related, where each project might deserve its own buy box.
It could. Yeah, I mean, you could have multiple buy boxes that way. And that's what we talked about, even the toolboxes we were talking about last night. You can use projects and say, here's my project. So then you go into that project and you got your toolbox and you got your buy box, and that's all tied to somebody's doing multifamily and they want to do syndications. Well, put all this stuff in one project for that. And then if you're doing something else like your lending, have a lending project that has all your tools for lending. And that way, then you can use the chats when you explore and you research and all that. Then you use the projects when you want continuity and you want to basically, I think it's going to perform a lot. I think it's going to blow things up even more for people. What everybody's liking now, I think is just going to get like exponentially increased in likability and productivity for people. So I'm really excited that we kind of talked about this last night and I researched it today. Surface risk before upside. If data is incomplete, stop and say so. So what doesn't belong there? Step-by-step tasks, one-off questions, use those in chat. Long prompts you copied for Twitter or X, anything that changes every session. These go in chats instead of project. So, if you're telling GPT what to do today, that's a chat. If you're telling it how to behave always, that's a project instruction. So why people overstuff system prompts and why it breaks. People overstuff prompts because they don't understand where context lives. They try to re-explain themselves every time. They force personality, rules, edge cases, tone, format all at once. Solve continuity with verbosity. What actually happens, the GPT misses priorities, instruction conflict, reasoning degrades, outputs feel inconsistent or brittle. System prompts were never meant to carry an entire operating module. Projects exist so you don't have to shout. So think about that. Operator framing. System prompt is posture, project is environment, chat is execution. When you use projects correctly, prompts get shorter, outputs get tighter, errors get easier to spot, trust increases without blind reliance. So we'll close this section with something sharp. Most people think better prompts fix bad results. Operators build better environments and let GPT do its job. So we're going to show a bad example. I'm going to try to build a project this weekend. I'll show it to you guys next weekend because I have a few more things I want to cover. Okay, explain GPT and how they can build the GPT store and how they can build them. Most investors think GPTs are better chats. They're not. So a custom GPT is a prefig-configured operator. It's not a smarter than base GPT. It's not a replacement for projects. It's not a magic workflow engine. A GPT is a set of standing instructions. So if you set up a GPT for tax liens, you can actually put all your standing instructions and build all your tools in it and build its instructions. You are limited to 8,500 or less words, or its characters, and you build it in the Explorer. And it's in the GPT over here. You'll see there's an Explorer GPT. We'll get to it in a minute. I'll show you guys later. I'm going to first talk about Tater Tot and some other things, but optional tools, optional files, a consistent behavioral profile. So think of hiring a junior analyst who always shows up with the same mindset every time. A GPT doesn't think for you, it thinks like you told it to. You are training your GPT to think like you tell it to. Then it starts to think better than that, and it builds up. That's when it becomes predictive within about 30 days. The better, now, like, I think a lot more people's RCICs are going to come alive, even more so than they have. GPT versus projects. Projects deal or jurisdiction-specific environments. GPTs, reusable roles or capabilities. Use projects when the context is unique. County, property, deal, dispute. Files and continuity matter. Use the GPTs. The way of thinking repeats. You want a consistency across many projects. You don't want to re-explain posture, tone, or rules. So operators often use one GPT across many projects. So GPT, RCIC zoning, and AHJ interpreter. Projects would be Maricopa County, Pinal County, Cedar, Phoenix. If you're talking about Arizona, you might have different projects for different counties and jurisdictions. The GPT store is here. It's a library of pre-built behaviors, a starting point, not an operating system, useful for narrow tasks. The GPT store is not vetted for accuracy. It's not aligned to your risk tolerance, a substitute for operator judgment. Optimized for novelty, work best in demos, break under real constraints. So if you didn't configure it, you don't control it. So tell them to use the store to explore patterns, borrow structure, see how instructions are written, run deals, interpret regulations blindly, replaces RCIC workflows. So how to build a GPT, operator first method. So keep this simple and disciplined. Step 1, define the role, not the task, the role. Example, interpret AHJ zoning language for experienced operators. So your step 2 would be writing standing instructions. So this is posture, not procedure. Who's the user? What to optimize it for? What to flag as risk? When to say I don't know? The GPT actually learns more from people telling it no than people saying yes. Add constraints, jurisdiction awareness, source citation expectations, No speculation without labeling it. So design on tools. Design on tools. Tools increase power and failure modes. If you don't know why you need a tool, don't add it. That's plain and simple. Test inside a project. This is critical. A GPT without a project is shallow. A GPT inside a project becomes operational. So here are the most common operator mistakes. People try to build one GPT to do everything. That fails every time. Few GPTs, clear roles, used inside well-defined projects. GPTs are force multipliers for operators with structure. Without structure, they just amplify the noise. Open a GPT from the store, show why it's fragile, and show a simple RCIC style GPT behaving inside a project. So where they have these stores, if you guys go over here, see here's home base. That's our other one. I'll be doing some work on it this weekend. You guys have access to it. I'll get you guys the activation link. We got the RCIC prompt assistant. So you go over to explore GPTs, and I'll bring them up. So discover and create custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extra knowledge, and any combination of skills. They obviously have the top picks, so you guys can just scroll these later on your own. Different things. There's Monday. You guys have heard of it, Monday. There's a lot of stuff. GIF generator. There's logo to make logos. You got architecture for buildings. It's pretty cool, actually. I played with that a few days ago. You got a lot of writing. You can humanize. They got for product managers, if you're doing all kinds of stuff. For fully SEO optimized article, you can write a 2,000 plus word SEO optimized article for blogs using this GPT. These are all ones that people have developed, and they've got them in the GPT store. You guys can go down and see research analysis. For programming, nobody really probably is going to use this. You get an education, you guys can use the image generator. Here's a legal and contracts lawyer backed. It's one of these 2,000 plus lawyers on demand. So they're not supervised, but there's a legal one. Here's AI for medical students. I don't really know if I want to trust AI to do medical stuff yet, but it's there. Things like that. So you get into DALL-E. If you guys talk about DALL-E is transformance your ideas. DALL-E is up here. It mostly does all the image generation, all kinds of stuff. You guys, like I said, you got lifestyle, you got education, programming, research and analysis, productivity, writing. So you guys feel free to use this because all these are pretty much free. There are some that people pay for on a subscription basis, but what you can do is you can actually come up here and you can create one if you want to create. And here's where you go. You're going to create. You guys are going to name your GPT. Here you define it, what your GPT is doing. You name it. You put a description in. You got your words 8,500 is there. You got conversation starter, knowledge, and then you got the recommended models, and you put in what capabilities you have. So real quick, I'm going to go back because I'm going to show you what RCIC is. So let me go ahead and pull up RCIC, just so you guys can see ours. So you guys know the prompt assistant, right? So this is where I generated the prompt assistant for. You got your start here. You got your activate RCIC. How do I embed my buy box? Because that's one of the first things you do. And then obviously switch modes. Obviously here I got the name. I've got the description, guides real estate pros through RCIC onboarding tools and deal systems. And then you guys can tell this is the instructions. And when you guys are ready to build one, you guys can put it all together. It's got all the mode stacking, and you got all the different modes. You got TC mode, you got lender mode, learning mode, tax lien mode, rehab mode, operator mode. Then you got default. If you guys ever get stuck, you can always ask it to return default. You get 5 conversation starters. I have 4 right now. When you guys see in the different PDFs you talk about dashboards, you guys can make a dashboard that's similar to this. You can actually make your own dashboard. So here's your knowledge, guys, and it's basically the knowledge is safe. When you do your GPT, you can have it help you write a PDF, and that's where you increase it. You go here, you can put 8,500 in there. It'll help you 8,500, and then you get down here, you can make a pretty detailed PDF, and you can upload a lot of files to help support it. And then you get down here, we recommend GPT 5.2, and then you get the capabilities. There's some other actions here. So this is where you guys go and explore GPTs, so you guys can see what, if I make any changes. So you got create, you got configure. So that's pretty much where you do the GPTs at. So I'll just
Mm-hmm.
push update again. So when you push update or you push, to finalize it, then it'll give you here you guys go, the choices. You can do access anyone with the link. You can copy the link and you can view the GPT, but that link is like how I did the bit.ly link, and then I go to bit.ly. So I'll go back here to this real quick, and then I'm going to go back to, okay. Okay, now I'm going to have it explain tater tot. Tater tot is something that they just got. It looks pretty cool. I have not used it yet, but I'm going to have it explain it to you guys. It's not magic, so it's a configured GPT with very specific operating posture. So you guys know tater tot's over here. When you guys go to, there's codecs, and you guys got tater tot. It's in projects. So here's the clean explanation for you. Tater tot exists to lower friction between an operator and GPT. It is opinionated, constrained, and intentionally practical. It's a GPT configured with RCIC aligned thinking. It's tuned for operators, not beginners. Focus on clarity, synthesis, and forward motion. Bias toward, does this work in a real workflow? What Tater Tot is not, it's not smarter than base GPT. It's not a decision maker. It's not a deal analyzer by itself. It's not a replacement for projects or judgment. So it removes the friction that normally gets in the way of thinking. So it assumes competence. It doesn't over-explain. It flags uncertainty instead of hiding it. It pushes towards structure, not vibes. In practice, a junior operator who knows how you think, a translator between messy reality and structured reasoning, a consistency layer across chats and projects. Outside a project, it's helpful, it's fast, it's limited. Inside a project, it inherits context, it becomes jurisdiction aware, it behaves predictably, it starts to feel less operational. So Tater Tot isn't powerful because of what it knows. It's powerful because of what it doesn't do. It doesn't speculate, it doesn't hype, it doesn't wonder, it doesn't pretend certainty. That restraint is a feature. If you want to close the explanation cleanly, Tater Tot is an example of how operators think about GPTs, clear role, type posture, and used inside world workflows. So you can add your files. You can do a new chat in here. You can do everything in here. Agent mode, deeper research, create an image. So it's just another way you guys might want to check it out. Like it's a little bit, you got Canvas, obviously. I have my Your Way GPT. It's got all the quizzes. You can explore apps. So it's Tater Tot. You guys can, I'm not going to play with it tonight because I've got a few things going on. I don't want to, I haven't really spent a lot of time with it, so I don't want to get into it too much. But I did want to make sure you guys know because a lot of people have asked me and they see it and they're like, hey, what's Tater Tot? So it's kind of cool. I just wanted to tell you guys what that is. You guys obviously know the library. Everything that you guys see me putting on Facebook is in my library. Even some of the ones that typos. Pretty extensive. It might take a second to come up because there's a lot of stuff there. And then obviously you guys will go about apps. We really don't need to do codecs because that's coding, and I don't think anybody here is going to be coding. If it ever gets into that, it'll actually help you. But let's see how long it takes to come up with some of my. There you guys go. There's my picture. I knew that with everybody. So don't get the wooden crosses out. You guys see there's some in here that are actually some, like these ones for these events we're building on. I'm putting together. Sometimes it's made some mistakes, so they'll be in here. Like you see this one where it combined like 5 or 6 of these. Well, I didn't want that, so I kind of had to kind of like had it redo it. That's why I started this. You guys will know that I told you I started this image generation here. This chat is called Image Generation Request, and I've done a lot better with mine since pretty much since I did that. I've got some cleaner results because one of the glitches is if you guys start doing a lot of visuals and you put text in it, sometimes you can get some pretty glaring typos. Here you guys go is this is for you guys want to see something real quick. Let's see. This is part of Homebase. Homebase is I kind of used over 100 different like Redfin and Chase Bank and Zillow and Auction and Loan Depot. I used over 100 different platforms to kind of to build Homebase. Just something to talk. I'll tell you guys about that next week when I get it updated, and then you guys have access to it. Here's another thing you guys can do. I started putting in, like, we're gonna talk about comms mode, but we talked about, like, you can do listings with it, so you guys can make some pretty cool listings. You can get pictures and you can make it pretty cool.
How do you put something in the library, Nate?
It automatically does it anytime you generate
Okay.
a visual. You don't put it in there; it automatically just saves it there. It's part of
Okay.
memory. So you guys can see all this stuff I've done quite a bit. There's stuff you guys don't see because sometimes there's typos and stuff, and some stuff looks pretty good. Like here's one you see where at the end of this pyramid one, like it said, it put a T at the end of pyramid. So obviously I didn't post that one, but I kept it because I like the idea. I can take that into it and I can try to regenerate it if I like it again, and I can ask it to fix that typo. Because there's another one where you got the capital confidence pyramid. I have a full color one. I posted it on Facebook a couple of times, but this is the capital confidence pyramid. And a lot of the stuff is in RCIC, so you guys can pull a lot of this stuff up. So we got, like, for the TC program, for doing TC stuff, and we got, like, here's some ads I did. Basically trying to get, and Dakota, if you want to use some of these, let me know too. We put a cockpit together, kind of an idea. It doesn't actually look like this. I posted in a TC group and I had, like, people like, hey, it doesn't look like that. And it's like, well, this is an ad. It's not supposed to look. So you guys see, like I did for Adams County, Colorado, all these different things. You guys will see a lot of stuff I posted in the past. I mean, I literally got a ton of stuff. So so everything that you generate is going to be added to your library automatically. Then we got apps. You guys want to go to apps? I'm going to ask Airtable. Airtable is definitely a priority, which comes up in this big one here. The ones you guys want to, obviously, like Airtable, obviously, like Google Forms, Google Docs, is obviously Dropbox, and you can use a few. There's high level. Some people like high level. People get in there, especially this time of year. Taxes, it's got into it. TurboTax. You got Mailchimp. If you guys are ever doing any kind of mailing, it's got into it. Mailchimp. You can actually access it through here. And they got Monday, and they got Notion. Sometimes you'll see Notion come up in RCIC. It'll tell you Notion. So if you ever need Notion, you can go here and just research it and check it out, and then you can see how to connect it. And I'm going to research Zapier while we're on tonight. And Netlify will help you build a website. PrivateMoneyAuthority.com was used in Netlify. And then it's got, like, Spotify for music. Here's StubHub. You got Teams. You got Stripe if you need to set up payment systems. Real quick, I'm going to go back to... okay. Learn to use Zapier. Did not find it. So it's not in GPT app. That's why I don't see it. Okay. Apps in said GPT are embedded capabilities. So this is your explanation, Curtis. Embedded capabilities that run within the ChatGPT environment. Zapier is an external automation layer that orchestrates actions outside GPT across other systems. Different class of tools, different purpose. So GPT and projects, thinking, interpretation, synthesis, judgment support. Zapier is execution, handoffs, triggers, and glue between systems. Apps, narrow in-session helpers. It lives downstream for GPT, not inside it. So how operators actually use Zapier correctly, GPT produces a structured output. A summary, extracted fields, categorized intent, decision-ready notes. That output is passed to Zapier, usually with webhooks, forms, APIs, CRM, or doc triggers. Zapier handles the busy work. It creates the task, updates the record, sends the messages, and moves data between systems. So Zapier handles making it happen. GPT decides what should happen. Zapier handles making it happen. So why they shouldn't force Zapier into GPT? Automations amplify errors. Bad assumptions move fast. Regulatory and deal risk compounds. So if judgment is still required, stay in GPT. Once judgment is done, Zapier can execute. If you want a crisp closer on this topic, Zapier is not missing from apps. It's intentionally outside the thinking layer. Operators don't automate decisions; they automate afterwards. Okay, can you generate a PDF I can pass on? Explain how to use Zapier outside of GPT, RCIC, and also Airtable and Dropbox. We'll see sometimes the PDF thing. If you guys ever run into it where it tells you the PDF generator is down because they have a couple different versions of it, you can ask it to save a Word doc and then just copy and paste it into Microsoft Word or whatever Word app you have, and then you can save it there and then you can convert it locally. Sometimes it's just maybe a couple hours, and then it could be just a lot of people are using the PDF generator at the time. So I've had that happen a few times. There's your PDF. I'll send this to everybody that's on tonight. So Curtis, I'll get it to you, and I will also get it to you, Dakota, and to Bill. So if you guys need it, that talks about how to use Zapier and also Airtable and Dropbox. So
Beautiful.
use the thinking layer. Zapier is post-judgment execution. Airtable is system of record. It automates things. Dropbox is document truth. So no hype, no automation, cosplay, just a clean stack that won't break the moment. Real constraints show up. So it's kind of cool. Like I said, I'm going to generate some projects this weekend and show you guys some cool stuff. Most of my projects this weekend will do with lending the capital passport, and that's some pretty cool stuff. I might actually see what we'll do that this weekend. You also got module graphics. I mean, literally, you guys go and play around with stuff. Let me try to go down here into my workspace real quick. Try to see if I can find it. I had to. So it'll ask you guys when you guys start, you guys can do personalization, base style and tone. I want professional. You can change this. Characteristics. Choose additional customizations as on top of your base style and tone. Do you want it warm, enthusiastic support? More or less default headers and lists, emojis. You guys can just kind of play with this and kind of learn it yourself. I put in what my name is, what I'm doing, and I put more about it. I empower people in real estate and community. I created and founded RCIC, aka the Real Estate Capital Intelligence Committee for Real Estate Investors. Also, home base a consumer GPT ecosystem. And then it talks about your memory. So you guys remember I talked about memory, right? So this is memories. So this is what I mentioned to you the other night, Curtis, about memories. So you guys can go, it says your save. It'll have a complete list. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of stuff. So here it's talking about me. Like I have, with some of my, I put in that I have, because I have a traumatic brain injury and neurodivergent from thing in the military, like an injury. So I put it in here so I can talk about so it helps me a lot of times when I'm asking it to explain things to it, that I tell it that I'd like to have a different form of explanation so I can understand it. Because sometimes it's like a lot of stuff pops up on the screen and it's kind of like it's not like it's like I used to before the injury. I used to be a lot more clear, and so I put it in there to tell it that. So when I bring it up, hey, I got a TBI, then sometimes it'll slow things down. Don't forget, anytime you guys need a better explanation or you need it to go slower, you can tell it, it'll do it. I put it in here so it's an automatic thing with me, so I don't have to tell it all the time. Prefers automated nightly overnight deal engine runs that generate per market CSVs to Vault. Distress intelligence, inbound and a summary email, counts plus top 10 per market. Email notifications remain disabled for this automation job. So I don't have I disabled it because obviously having 6,500, I'm not monitoring, but I'm trying to like prime the market. So when somebody comes on and say, we obviously had a couple people join that are in Savannah, Georgia. Don is in Alabama, things like that. Fred's in Alabama, Don's in Georgia, and then Michael and Eric are in Savannah. So when we have people join on, I basically, I don't need to be getting like I'd burn through my agents if it was sending me emails all the time because we only have 40 agents per month. So that's why I don't get a lot of the like I get. You guys will see when I talk about the data that I get the AHJs like Arapahoe County, El Paso County, Jefferson County in Colorado. I get those because I target those, but with having 50 markets, I don't need to be like burning through my agents in like 2 days for the month, and then have to wait the next another month to use my agents. So starting a news chat thread dedicated to RCIC, that is one, and then I got ClearPath to Close partner group, which is ClearPath to Close is a and you can push the default delete all, and you can delete them, so you can manage your memory there. You also have like record mode, reference your history, and then you get it in advanced, and you can get it down here, and you got web search, Canvas, you got code. There's voice. If you want to use voice and use a microphone, it'll take dictation. You got advanced voice. It's kind of cool. I haven't really played with it, but I researched a little bit. Connector, how to build the connectors for answers. You guys obviously have apps. It can help you with schedules. It can be schedules run again after it completes the task. So you got manage. You know, so you guys go and see. Here's my schedule. So you guys see that I have my schedule. These are all my agents and my tasks being done. You guys can have the same ones, the same kind of things. It tells me I'm getting this on Monday, this one on Monday, this one's was on the 28th. I get this every Thursday, this one every Thursday, this one every Thursday, this one every Thursday. I paused some of them. So I'm gonna overnight deal engine with 50 markets burned up a lot of my agents. So I'm reconfiguring that. And basically, you guys are getting more of your. If you guys start getting overnight deal engine, I won't need them as much. I was running a lot of them when I was basically priming the markets. So
where do you add those, Nate? Where would you add a new one, just for an example?
Well, you can add them over into scheduling. You can add them, but it's basically when you add your agents, it'll show up. So you can schedule to run it. So look at you got manage over here, but when you add in you add your agents, it'll put what the schedule is. So
Okay.
it's pretty much like an automatic thing.
Okay.
Data controls improves the model for everyone. I turn that off. I don't want all of our work to help anybody outside of our group. But that's to protect you guys. So you guys it doesn't apply to you guys. Everything you guys do within the group. If you have the prompt assistant, you have RCIC, you have the GPT. It improves it for everybody in the group. It does not do anything for people outside the group. Shared links, we can manage it. Look at all the archive chats. I can go and delete all the chats. Why would I do that? Here's security. So you guys got a lot of the security stuff. You guys got like, you got different what they call pass keys and all that. I'm not gonna really mess with it too much and then you guys go and you guys can change the system. You can change an accent color within it. I have auto detect. You got voice. You can actually change the voices. You can show additional models. I don't know if you guys have seen up here. You got model chat 5.2. They got instant answers right away. You're not going to get a lot of accuracy there. You got thinking. It's going to think a lot longer if you put in a chat 5.2 and you put thinking in. If you want really pro research grade intelligence, pro. You've obviously got, like I said, 5.1 is instant, 5.1 is thinking, 5.1 pro. You got GPT-4. GPT-4, they kept it because a lot of people were like neurodivergent to where they were using it for a social thing rather than like business or trying to, productivity. It was like maybe people were homebound or neurodivergent or they're creative or something. A lot of people are like that. So a lot of people were upset. What happened was the business community was really wanting to be more professional in the responses. So they added that to 5. They didn't want to leave all those other people behind because there were some, I don't know if you guys ever knew, there was actually a guy that committed suicide and his family sued OpenAI over that. And so they kind of left the Model 4 in there for right now. They're trying to figure out, like, I guess by the time they get to Model 6, and you guys will see, you guys don't have to worry about adding it. I woke up, I got 5. It was actually telling me before that, it was like in August, end of August, right on Labor Day. I asked it, when's 5 coming out? And it said, oh, it's not coming out for probably a couple of weeks. Literally that afternoon, I saw Sam Altman, the chairman of OpenAI, say, oh yeah, 5's coming out this weekend. The next day I asked it, I said, I just saw this thing with Sam Altman. I actually copy and pasted that article. It said, oh yeah, it's coming out this weekend, you'll get it. I woke up, that was on a Thursday. I woke up Saturday morning and I had Model 5. Model 5.1, Model 5.2, so it updates automatically. And you guys can always change it manually if you get it. Like I said, tonight I'm pretty much showing you guys the, how to do how to do these things, how to operate and find your way around it. We're gonna do a lot more real estate. I'm gonna do some projects over the weekend and show you guys the projects. So we're not gonna go much more than about 10 more minutes because I know we've been putting in some two and a half hour Zooms lately, just to kind of get everybody a break a little bit. That way you guys know projects. You guys can start working on projects instead of chats, and it should exponentially increase your productivity. Okay. I'm processing the Zoom to upload it to YouTube. Can you generate me a title, description, and a thumbnail for YouTube under 1.99 megabytes, covering tonight's session. Cool. There's my title. Gives me a second one. We're not done yet. If you guys want to talk about a few other things, or you guys want to bring anything up you want to work on, let me know. And all that. But it gives me a description. Then I got my hashtags. And then it's for YouTube. There you go. It's generating my thumbnail. This will, and so to answer your question earlier, Curtis, this will save in my library automatically.
Okay, that's good to know.
I just like having generated here. I just like having an image generation chat, so I can go over it. I can kind of separate it, and then I can save them because sometimes, like I said, sometimes if you have a lot of text in it, like small text, you can get some major typos. Like you're like, what language is that? See, that's all I did. Look at it. It's got the there's the OpenAI logo. That looks pretty sharp. That'll be the YouTube thumbnail, so you guys will see that later. I'll actually try to get this one up tonight. Because normally if we go under an hour and a half or under, I'll try to put it up that night. If it's gonna be like 2 hours or over, I'm usually like, I'll just have it do it. I'll just do it in the morning. First thing, I'll have it up by 8:30. It's just trying to say because sometimes it's like, it can be a little bit because you guys know I spend like a lot. I spend probably 8 to 10 hours a day on this, so sometimes my eyes are like, I need to go to the eye doctor and go, hey, I spend like 8 to 10 hours on a screen a day. Let me see if I can get those kind of questions. Hey, Bill, what's going on?
Hey, Nate.
Hey. What's
I
going
just have
on?
to wait for a few minutes, but I appreciate it. I know you're going to send a link, so that's great. I'll catch about 5 or 10
Yeah.
minutes.
So send me, message me those counties because I know Curtis is on. He told me you guys had a chat and there are some counties you got to pay for information. Do you want to send me a
I
list
was
of the?
thinking maybe we just jump on a call when you get a moment, and just like 30 minutes, just rip through a few of them and just see if we can
Yeah, because I
find
mean,
what I need.
yeah, because I want
Um,
to try to. I want to see if there's any workarounds. Not saying that
okay.
there will be. I mean, it's something we probably can't control, but it's worth a shot to try to see if there's workarounds. That's the first time I've ever heard of anybody having to. I mean, sometimes I know on information, for Freedom of Information Act and stuff. Sometimes they make people pay for stuff.
What I'll do is I'll call the county
Yeah,
um, first, and then I'll give you a shout and we can see because a year ago, I looked into it, and I don't know where this other, company was that I got it from, but I got, foreclosure data. I had to pay $2 to $3 a record.
well,
Um,
just message me the counties like 5 counties, and tomorrow, and I'll over the weekend I'll just plug them in and just see what I get. What I get.
okay,
And then
okay, that'd be great.
I can
And
put
then
something
maybe you can
together.
just show me what you did because
Yeah,
I've got
no, I will. I just like,
several.
as I said, because I'm kind of, because that way I can kind of plug in what I've already kind of built and see if I can trigger it in a different way, and then I can give you the guidance and a PDF summary of how to trigger it yourself.
Okay, that'll be great.
That's
Bill,
perfect.
after we spoke on the phone a couple weeks ago, I called a couple of county recorder offices, not Marin, but other ones in California, because I'm in California too, and I'm interested in pursuing some different recording information. And both the ones that I spoke to personally, they said that's how they monetize operations now. I think it's some state law or state regulation that they're able to charge for documents like that so they can monetize. And I don't know, I'm sure there's other third party avenues to travel to get the same information. I think Parcel Quest is one, but that's a little pricey. But one way or the other, I think if we want to get the information, you're going to have to pay. And maybe I even tried some way out of the way counties, like where I live, Plumas County. It's one of the smallest counties in California, population wise, and I can't even get online. They don't even offer it online.
Yeah, that's
So,
one thing yeah, one thing. I mean, we talked about like having the Mayberry counties. Like,
yeah,
unfortunately, and like I said, in some cases it's the vendor. Like I was saying, in Boulder and Broomfield County in Colorado, they're right next to each other, and
yeah.
Broomfield County sucks. You can't get.
So what I'm trying to get at is that it may not cost anything, but you have to go. I would have to go to the county recorder office and pull the grantor grantee indexes and really plow through it manually, which is extremely costly as far as I'm concerned. I'd rather spend $2 or $3 for a record than to have to go and plow through those records manually. And
Yeah, it's weird because like Michigan is a totally different state. They publish everything and they
right.
publish it weekly.
That's what I'm saying because so far, and everybody that's been doing their AHJs and even me doing like priming it when I was doing those 50 markets and all the zip codes, I didn't have a single one come back as having to pay. I know there's stuff out there you gotta, sometimes in courts and stuff, but
All
no,
right,
I
well,
don't know. So
I'll
let's,
send them to you because
yeah,
if we crack the method here, then it'll probably work in most of the counties in California.
yeah,
Well, I'd be anxiously awaiting you cracking the code on that one. That'd be great.
Yeah.
that'll help everybody because I mean, because everything we've kind of learned, like because you look at Florida, like I was to be surprised at Florida because Florida's a pretty business friendly state with taxes and all that. And I was surprised that in Florida how difficult it was in Orlando. Orange County, Florida was like you could get stuff for the you have Orlando and you have Buena Vista, isn't that the one where isn't that the town where Disney's at, Disney World? I'm trying to think which there's a couple towns in Orange County, and I checked around on that one, and then I was checking Georgia and Alabama for Fred and for Don, and I couldn't. It's like weird. Colorado, man, I can get anything I need like instantly. The only thing that sucked was like when Jefferson County was updating their IT 2 weeks ago, and I kept getting 404s because I like showing Jefferson County to you guys because it's like it was one of the easiest ones to do. The good thing though is Jefferson County just went to the same vendor as El Paso County and Arapahoe County, so all three of those major counties and Douglas County, which is another major county in the Denver area, those four counties are all using the same vendor now. So they should all be the
What do you do in that situation? Do you log into an account that you created and then it automatically logs in for you, or
some cases they just want you to do a captcha, like basically a puzzle to prove you're human.
yeah?
About it. I've never had to register. I was showing a video last night, like Jefferson County, because it came up with a thing for home title theft. They have a new thing where you can register. Because I registered my parents for that on Thanksgiving. My dad was asking me about it. For some reason, my dad sees something on TV and he starts asking me to use my computer to help him or whatever. And so I had to sign my parents up for this thing. I'm like if you guys see like home title theft, it's a huge thing right now. And so they have to sign up for that. So I had to sign up on Jefferson County's website. But most of the time, it's just really just to prove you're a human being, because they don't want like I said, they tell you AI, don't use AI or whatever. Well, they're not talking about using AI out like the on ramp. And like I said, RCIC is like an interstate highway. An off ramp is to Jefferson County or Marin County. The on ramp is back to RCIC. But like it said, once you get to the AHJ on their website, you're not using AI there. You still have to manually like download their PDF or their Word, whatever their documents are, because you can download them and save them to your computer or save them to your files. And then, or if push comes to shove, you can copy and paste. In some cases where they have a list, but they don't have, it just depends on how the county is. That's why I tell people it's like 90% of RCIC can be automated, pretty much similar to the AI. It's really just a little bit of you have to do with manually of having it once you're there, but it takes like 3 minutes. I mean, literally, I can this morning I got like 4 counties in Colorado. I got updated. I literally could have all of them downloaded and put in my system into my buy box and all my deal analysis tools in like 30 minutes. I could have it all, and probably through all the deal analysis, probably another half hour. So you're talking about an hour. I could probably get to lender match by. We're gonna talk about lender match next week and lender apps, but I can probably get everything done within 2 hours on a deal.
Well, California seems to be the opposite because, like, Truckee is in Nevada County, and I spoke with the Nevada County recorder, and you cannot get even an image without paying for it. If you could just get an image, you can download that and get working with it. But you can't even get any information that's usable, not even an image that you would go through one image at a time and download each image would be really streamlined for California, it seems like to me, because they are just really preventing any access unless you pay. And the what you can get is so marginal and so sparse that it's not serves no practical purpose. You have to pay for the meat that you want on the bone.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get it. So as I said, let me try to give me some counties, Bill, and I'll try to see if I can build a workaround, and then we'll do our
All right.
call.
How do you want me to send that to you, Nate?
Just messenger. Just tell me what counties.
Okay. Facebook
Messenger.
or Messenger, rather?
Yeah, just send messenger. It's like 3 to 5
Okay.
counties, like Marin and a few other counties in that area. Like I said, I'll try to see if I can. There it goes. It just went. See, that's pretty sharp.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. Sometimes I get over to YouTube and it's still a little bit big, so I got to come back here and add it. That's why I have the image generation, because I can go back and add it and go, hey, can you resize this? So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, it just did my whole YouTube for my for making the video.
Well, great session, Nate. Thank you very much. And we'll be in touch. Have a good evening, Bill.
Just remind everybody, start
Thanks.
using projects.
Okay. Take care, gentlemen.
Yeah, and then we're going to do lender ops, and we're going to do 2 nights of it, because we got.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Cool.
Okay.
All right,
Have a
guys.
good
Thanks.
evening.
See ya.
Okay.
Good night, all.
Cool.